Hey, Jason Tuschman back with Doc Biz, here today with Sean Rosario, president and owner of Progressive Health and Rejuvenation Institute out of Jupiter, Florida. Sean, thanks for coming on.
Pleasure to be here.
So I have to be upfront with everybody. Sean is a longtime friend of mine. We've been friends for over 10 years. We met originally on the famous jiu-jitsu mats of the Armory out of Jupiter. Sean will attest that I think I submitted him 15 or 20 times a day, but that's where Sean and I's friendship evolved or started from, and we've spent some time having a lot of good business discussions over the last few years. Sean, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
So Sean, today I think it'd be great if you could just, to set the stage on discussing leadership in trying times, if you could discuss first your experience in your younger years, and then give us a little bit of a background on Progressive Health and Rejuvenation Institute.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess, being in this industry, everybody comes from different backgrounds. Me, myself, I think I come from a unique background. I spent 14 years in the military, in the United States Navy, just about all that time in the SEAL teams. And, that's where I kind of grew up as I like to say, as an adult. And it gave me an opportunity to learn from the people who had come before me, and learn how to work under adverse conditions. Everybody's seen movies and knowing today's history for the last 19 years, we've been a country at war, and it's mainly been a special operations conflict. And so my experiences, I was able to do 4 combat deployments, both to Iraq and Afghanistan. And that was really, besides the training that prepares you to go there, while you were there in a combat theater, is really where you get to really put that training to the test and operate in a chaotic environment. But when there's uncertainty and kind of like we have these days, it's important to keep focus of what the mission is. I think that's the most important thing, keeping focus of what the mission is and understanding what your job is to do. In this industry, our job is to serve our customers, our patients, and they don't want to see anything interrupted with that, whether it be on the hormone replacement side or the aesthetic side. So we're coming up with creative ways in order to ensure that their care is not interrupted. Clear communication is important. Communication with your team is very important. Communication with your patients is very important. So as long as that free flow communication is going back and forth, everybody's going to be on the same page, and understanding what your right and left limit is will ensure that the mission gets accomplished. Even through this chaotic times, it's going to be okay. We're going to get through this. There is an end in sight, and we're going to get there eventually. It's easy to get bogged down in the day-to-day. You watch the news, it's always the doom and gloom of the apocalypse. But at the end of the day, it's going to be all right, and we're going to continue.
So Sean, if I can pause you there for a second, tell us a little bit about Progressive Health and Rejuvenation as a business, real quick, and then I've got some tactical questions for you.
Sure. So Progressive Health and Rejuvenation, we're located in Abacoa section of Jupiter, Florida. And we host a multitude of patients and a combination of hormone replacement therapy and the aesthetics side. And the aesthetics is combined with, Juvederm, Restylane, Botox, Dysport, all the aesthetic fillers that are mainly our female population likes to come in and get serviced with. And mainly we see the hormone replacement side nationwide. We've been continuing to ship and process orders nationwide. We have a pretty diverse patient pool located throughout the country. And so prior to this pandemic hitting, we've always been working in somewhat of a remote environment, whether we can take these orders via phone and send those from our pharmacies out to our customers. So I think the way we were sort of prepared to transition through the pandemic and continue our operations as we were prior to. We do see a little bit of a change in our aesthetic side, where our local population is not has elected to postpone their appointments, but we're also, pushing the fact that we have immune building capabilities such as our B12 glutathione shots, and so we're encouraging our patients to take advantage of that. They don't have to come in; we can ship that remotely to them even locally.
So what are some of the, you know, when you think about leadership in crisis and what you learned in the military and managing through this crisis today, what are the most important things from your perspective that doctors, practice owners, what are the most important traits they need to have to be successful as owners of their businesses in this time?
Absolutely need to, again, communicate. You have to communicate with your team, and you also have to communicate with your patients. They need to know, they need to be reassured on both sides, both employees and patients. You need to be reassured that there is a plan, that we are moving forward, and that we will come out of this okay. At the same time, you need to be conscious, in my opinion, of the numbers coming in, numbers going out. It's important to have that snapshot in order to best prepare, best plan for contingencies if need be. So knowing those two things is quite important for me, and also leaning on an effective network of advisors and friends such as yourself that you can bounce questions off of. Hey,
Yeah.
it's working for you. That might work for me, and vice versa.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with the advisor thing more. In running our business through this, Sean, I've got a 6:45 a.m. call with a couple of advisors Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And it's very quick, it's very tactical. There's two or three subjects that we're discussing. They're brought up by us as the participants, and leveraging the advisors and then taking that information from what's ever happening. One of them's in real estate. One of them is executive recruiting and career development for the medtech space. So we're in completely different businesses, but the issues are the same, right? It's cash flow, it's personnel, it's clients. And how do leveraging that 15 minutes that I'm getting 3 times a week with them has been immensely helpful in getting through this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There was a book written by retired General Stanley Crystal. At the time, he was the commander of JSOC, Joint Special Operations Command. And I remember back in the Iraq War, where special operations made a radical shift. As when you're talking about a tactical shift or tactical, recommendation, as to where the Al Qaeda in Iraq cells were reacting faster than we could catch up to them. And so General McChrystal, being the leader that he was able to push down the decision-making capabilities to the on-ground commanders. Instead of having all the approvals come up to him, he gave all the ground force commanders the ability to execute and make decisions as they saw fit. At the same time, knowing what their left and right limits were, he gave them that latitude in order to be more effective. And that ultimately changed the shift of the war and was able to crush Al Qaeda in Iraq. And so I see that being very important for me in my business, is pushing that decision-making capability down to, to my team, and letting them execute, empowering them to execute the decisions. Because to me, flowing up to me, listen, you know what my expectation is, but if you have the information, you've evaluated it, you know what the parameters are, execute and make the decision based on the best interest of the company, and let's move forward.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. The way I kind of discussed the left and right with my team over the last couple of weeks, and I probably haven't defined it that much. But I said, look, we have a management stand up every morning at 8 a.m. We have a team stand up at 8:30 a.m. and then it's off and running. And I said, look, we're going to bend our, internal operating rules. And I don't, I mean bend it to service our customer, help resolve their issues, and help them resolve their patients' issues. And so we may have processes that allow us to work in a normal environment very productively. Those processes are going to get taxed now. They're going to change. You're going to have to morph them. You may change them 2 or 3 times over a 10-day period, but you have to allow the people that are on the front lines do that for you, because you just can't see everything as a business owner. So that front desk person and what they're hearing from the consumer when they're calling to reschedule a patient is amazingly valuable. And if you're not giving them guidance on how to go and make decisions to improve that patient experience in this market, you're going to lose customers. And you can come out on the other side a much stronger business and profession out after this.
Yeah, I agree.
So what are the, last question for you, what are the biggest mistakes people will make from a leadership perspective, based on your experience running Progressive Health? You've run some other larger businesses, international as well. What are the leadership mistakes you think people will make in this difficult time?
That's a good question, because in my opinion, I think that in times of chaos, maybe like we're in now, leaders will want to take more control and try and micromanage even further, which I think is the complete opposite of what should happen. Because again, if you're going to, like you said, you can't see everything, right? That's why you have a trusted team. And if you don't have trust within your team, then it's going to be a hard upward climb. So I think the mistake, again, people will make is by trying to grab more control and micromanage a situation, which I think would work to their disadvantage.
Yeah, Sean, that is an awesome way to end this. I got to tell you, I have listened and read so much on management over the last 2 weeks. I have not seen that point made once, and that is an awesome point. You cannot you should never be micromanaging, but you sure as hell can't micromanage now. And you will only create friction. You will only disturb your team members, which is going to cause even further problems based on the challenges that you have for them as individuals. Now you're going to create consumer problems, patient problems. That is an awesome point to be made from a management perspective. Buddy, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. We did embrace social distancing here. Unfortunately, Sean is only about 10 minutes away, and I wanted to see him in person because he lives an hour away. But we stuck to our guidelines and did this through Zoom. And Sean, thanks. I appreciate your time.
I appreciate the invite. Thank you so much.
All right, bud. Have a good one. We'll see you. So thanks for joining DocBiz. We'll be back soon with more information on the business of running your medical practice. We hope you found this time valuable, and we look forward to seeing you next time.